pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening. We have a public hearing, which is starting at 7 o'clock. It was advertised on the 15th day of September that it would be held at 7 o'clock Town Hall on the 25th day of September. This is a public hearing to discuss or offer to the public comments on a local law to override the tax levy limit that's established by general municipal law, section 3C. What that is, that's the tax cap. In order to go over the tax cap, we have to pass a local law, which we'll take comment on. I think everybody realizes that this storm that we just had is going to cost the town a lot of money. And even though sitting at our budget meeting, we most certainly will try to stay under the tax cap, when you have to add a $500,000 for bond payments and interest, it makes it near impossible. So anyway, I'll open the floor to any public comment. Anyone?
Good evening, Board, and everyone else here. My name's Chris Orm. I'm here on behalf of residents of Bellevue.
Excuse me, Supervisor, we're still in the public hearing,
Yes,
correct?
we're still on the public hearing.
This is for the public hearing only comments.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we'll get you later, Chris.
I'll be here.
All right. Okay. I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, later on in our meeting, we will bring up the resolution to adopt the local law. Okay, now we're gonna have a public hearing, public comment on agenda items. I might make a note that our engineer, our town engineer, is here in the audience tonight. I have no problem if there's any questions to be asked to him, as long as he has no problems answering the questions. Chris, you're on.
All right. Again, I'm Chris Orm, 39 Bellevue Road, here on behalf of the residents of Bellevue. I've been here quite a few times at this point. Just wanted to, reiterate what's going on up there. There was a substantial amount of work done by TAM. I guess it was under an emergency status. They put in several new culverts, several new drainage pipes, which I did as well at our own expense on Bellevue Road. I kind of got an idea how much was spent up there to add that drainage. So, we've all been outside since Thursday. It's been raining. This is you see the little stream right there, little bit of water coming out of the culverts that were added and the catch basins that were added coming down from Upper Canterbury. That spills out into the intersection of Canterbury Road, Forest Hill. You know where I'm talking about, that little fork there. So these are the culverts that are directed at Bellevue. A little bit more water coming out of those, Pretty substantial amount, if you ask me. Running pretty good. So this is what the culvert on Bellevue handles. Pretty good resolution there. I don't know if you guys can see the amount of water that's running through Bellevue Road directed at us from Upper Canterbury. That's the exit of what I'm dealing with on Bellevue. That was as of this morning.
I think it's upside down, Chris. Or am I mistaken?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Either way, you can see it's a shit ton of water. There's quite a bit of water coming out of that culvert, and that's coming off the top of Canterbury. This is the lower portion after it runs under Bellevue Road and connects to work that was done by TAM at that intersection, which I previously mentioned. So that's the end result. So we're comparing little bitty amount of water that the town is directing. And this honestly was dry until this morning. So from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, no water was running through this. And as of this morning, it started spitting a little bit of water out there. I probably could have soaked it up with a roll of paper towels, but that's the amount of water that I'm seeing on Bellevue. And it's just astronomical, the amount of water the town is directing at our private road and expecting us to be financially liable. So again, I'm here pleading with you guys and asking what we're gonna do about this, how we're gonna address this situation moving forward, because the damage is done, it's already been fixed. I've gotten several estimates of re-blacktopping my road from the washout on July 9th. And yeah. Good to see you. Thanks for hearing me out.
Would you have any comment on that, John?
Not really, other than that, during the emergency, TAM was there, but basically replaced things in kind or replaced culverts. It's not like any additional drainage was directed toward any place that it wasn't directed before. It was just a replacement in kind, so unfortunately water flows down the hill. But it hasn't been redirected to any place that it wasn't going there before.
So the initial situation, there was 4 culverts directed at our private road. Now there's 7. So to say that there wasn't any added to is wrong.
He didn't add any more water to it. In other words, no streams, no water bodies were directed that weren't there directed before. The water was always there, whether it came out of 1 culvert, 2 culvert, 7 culverts, it was always flowing in that direction. So they didn't redirect any flow that was flowing somewhere else, let's say the left, and now it's going to the right. Everything was put back into the condition that it was before the storm.
It's an interesting take on it.
Okay, John, is there anything else, storm damage in general, that you'd like to address or to
No,
talk about?
again, we're meeting with, FEMA on now a weekly basis. I think your technical clerks have been doing a great job, to be honest with you, coordinating that, because it's massive amounts of paperwork. We supply stuff to them several times, and they typically don't have it. They're scheduled to be back here next Thursday to go over it once again. Then they will follow up with some site inspections to document that the work that has already been done and to document the work that remains to be done, to confirm the estimates that we had provided. So we'll walk through them when they do those inspections, and then they follow paperwork. Unfortunately, it's a slow process that we're in the midst of. Your highway department has done a lot of repairs, both temporary and some permanent ones. We have written some documentation confirming some areas needed permanent repairs right away, because again, Mine Dock Road was eroding, it was just too steep, so to leave that into a gravel form, because FEMA just likes to get it temporary repaired, so cars can pass one another. Certain areas in the town that just didn't fly, because every time we got a new rain event, it would wash out again. So we went through and documented that. So I think you're in a good position. The meetings with FEMA, I think, have been fairly well accepted both by them and the state. The state's been very helpful as well in this kind of mediating between the town of Highlands and FEMA. FEMA's part of a big government. They handled New Orleans when they flooded, so they know what they're doing, but there's a bureaucracy and it just takes time. So hopefully we're going to set up a couple-year program to replace those items which we can, and those ones which are emergencies we'll do more quickly. And again, I'm glad to see you pass the tax cap, because 2% after what this town survived just doesn't cut it. So I'm glad to see you do that. But any questions for any of the board members in the public?
Anybody have any
John,
questions? Yeah.
you're probably not going to stay. Oh, go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not sure if this is the right time. I had a comment about damages in my area. Is that okay? Is this the
Sure.
right time for that?
Sure.
Yes. My name is John Blanc. I'm on Wyant Road in Fort Montgomery. And my first comment is how great Wyant Road's been taken care of and the work that the TAM contractor's been doing there. Absolutely fantastic, replacing people's driveways, properties, and almost all of the damage that was done there. And I really think they did a great job. However, besides that, I have a property on Mine Road, 154 Mine Road, which incurred a lot of damage from the 9 July storm. And what I did approximately a month ago, I went ahead and I sent to the Highway Department digital photographs of the damages, and I highlighted specific pieces, namely the erosion to Mine Road that was close to the stream that's right there on our property, or on the border line of our property. In addition to that, there's a telephone pole which appears to be undermined by the water, and it looks like it's starting to bend and could fall down. So I find that to be, as well as the damage along Mine Road. My son went ahead and found a cone to put there to alert anybody passing by that there's no more road there. They can't go beyond that. It's sort of like covered up. So there's a safety concern. In addition to that, especially the telephone pole. So about a month ago, I went ahead and I documented it with the photographs. I sent a letter to the Highway Department. And then a little while after that, maybe about a week after that, I stopped by the Highway Department, and they mentioned that they received the photographs and as well as the letter. And I specified that what I had, the damage, wasn't as important as what was going on all over the rest of the town. That was not my intent. My intent was to make sure that those damages were included, especially those concerning safety, okay? And I requested in the letter that I get some sort of feedback. So that was about a month ago. I haven't received feedback, so I went ahead. I have a USB drive here, along with a document which describes the photographs of the damages that are there, and I'd like to present this to the board, and so this way you could see what it is that I'm talking about, and I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you
John.
very much.
Thank you. Just put it right up here. Yeah.
Thank you.
So everybody who's anybody is here. Just in regard to your comments, I just want to make it clear, our engineers here, Bob and whatnot, when people talk about TAM working on private property, we're not paying for that. There are people that have hired TAM personally. We're not paying for TAM to go on anybody's private property. Is there any contest to that statement?
No, sir.
Okay, so we're not paying for them to do anything private. I know, I'll name him, John Monteleone, who's a downstream receiver from other people upstream from him, had a car totaled, his garage door was blasted in, and it went right alongside of his house, and he put a big pipe in there. TAM did it for him at his expense. His house, I think, was red tagged, if I'm not mistaken. So that's just one example of people paying TAM privately to do that.
Is there anyone else with public comment? Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on. I have the minutes of our meeting of September the 11th. Can I get an approval?
I read them, I'll make a motion to accept them.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried, thank you. We had a town board meeting. It was an executive session held on Monday, September the 18th, at which we discussed. John, thank you.
My pleasure. Have a good evening, everyone.
All right, John.
We talked about the police department. It was a 2-hour meeting, a very good meeting, very good dialogue. And that's, since it was an executive session, that's about all I can say about it. So I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes of September the 18th.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you. We received, oh, it's too bad John just left, but we have an approval of our plans and specs for Corbin Hill Tank Number 2. That started in February the 13th, was revisited on August the 21st, and the application was duly made by you and received by this office. John, our engineer, called me up and asked me, considering all the stuff that's going on right now, would we like to start the project or hold off on for a while? My answer was, from me, John, we waited long enough since February. Let's get it done. Actually, if we had that tank during that period of the July the 9th, we may have been with water for another day or two. So we're going to start the project unless the board wants to say no. Okay.
Might I add, the way it was originally designed, there's a landowner up there that has an easement that's unused that the pipe was going to go through. So it's always been known, there's a water tank there now, there's gonna be another one. We are not using that easement, so the invasion will be minimal for those that live up there.
Okay, there is a press release out from Congressman Pat Ryan considering, let's see, where he urged the FEMA administrator, Criswell, for individual assistance for flood victims after the storm hit the Hudson Valley. This is online. What you call it? I can put a copy at the town clerk's office if someone would like to take it. But they had a video of him saying, "We need help. We need help." So Congressman Ryan is working in our benefit. Justin, if you wouldn't mind briefly talking about some court decisions that came down, or would you rather not talk about that?
Oh, sure. No, that's fine. So.
I mean, legally, rather not, but that's what I...
That's perfectly appropriate, right? So
All
as
right,
the
okay.
Town board is well aware, and many of the residents are aware, frequent litigation over the last several years by the residents at the football, challenging certain issues in the building department, challenging certain issues with the zoning board of appeals, challenging certain decisions of the planning board, and most recently challenging the issuance of permits for the cell towers in the two village locations, as well as the town garage location. So the most recent litigation was settled in favor of the town with respect to the issuance of the permits for the various cell towers, as well as issues. She had brought a fee dispute alleging that she should not have to pay fees to appear before your various boards, which is customary and codified in your code, which all applicants to those boards need to pay either a fee or an escrow, and the judge ruled in favor of the town and the village in that matter. So that's the most recent litigation. They may be subject to appeal, but for now, the town can keep moving forward, or the village can keep moving forward with each of those projects.
Okay, defending the town in this litigation has cost the town so far $125,000. Is that right, Kelly? You told me that number today. So $125,000 we've spent defending frivolous lawsuits. I'll use that word, even though I might get...
That's an appropriate word, and you've been successful in the defense of every single one of the cases brought, as has the village.
Okay, application for disaster relief. Have anything?
My name's Gary Loud, so I'm one of the committee members for the Town of Highlands Disaster Fund. So we went live with it on the 15th of September. I've gotten 5 applications so far. They were dropped off at the library. There's 2 locations for the applications, here in Town Hall and at the Village Library. On the 17th of October, myself and 2 other committee members will reconvene at the Center for Highlands. We'll get the applications, we'll go through them, and we'll start awarding the money. We'll notify the applicants via phone or email. At that time, when they come to pick up their check at a predetermined time, that's when they'll provide their proof of residency, which is already indicated on the application itself.
Okay, Gary, as best I can understand from this application, you will not be awarding any more than $400.
That's correct. It is up to, and that is specifically stated in the article that Mary Jane published, as well as, I believe in the application itself, says up to $400. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't reapply again, but if you do get $400 at the outset, I mean, I'm only one voting member, but there's a threshold. You can go ahead and apply again once the process and your original application is done. However, you getting another $400 may or may not happen. Not to say that it won't, but if you feel like you want to submit again, go ahead and submit again. That is totally up to you as an applicant. So, any questions? Certainly.
Just a comment, that's a great job that you guys are put together very quickly, and we appreciate the work. Thank
Yeah,
you.
let me ask you a quick question. So, first of all, thank you again. The threshold is based off the amount of money that you received from outside donors.
It's based upon the amount that's currently in the fund itself.
Right.
There is a way that you can donate to the fund to bring up that, to keep the slush fund, if you will, or the account balance up. Probably the wrong word to use that, sorry. But yes, so in order to make sure that everybody that we have that has an equal opportunity to get a piece of the pie, that's why we limit it to up to $400. So is there a chance to increase it in the future? Maybe not. I can't speak to that right now. But we kind of limit it at the 400, so that way, if we have a lot of applications, at least we can make sure that everybody can get a piece of the pie, and that'll help out a lot.
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to highlight for the folks at home, if you know of folks that are just altruistic and giving, and they have some disposable income, and they want to help the town of Highlands in the time of need, then there's the man or a team of people that you can see to get that fund to come up a little bit, and then we can help more people with more resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Continuing with communications. Dear Kelly, this is a letter Kelly never wanted to get. Please accept this letter as a formal notification that I am resigning in my position as account clerk at the town of Highlands. My last day will be Friday, the 6th of October. I'm very grateful for all of your support during my time here. It has been a sincere pleasure working with you and everyone at the town hall. I spoke with Eunice, and I told her that I've never said this to anybody before leaving. I really, really hate to see you go. But she got another job a couple of minutes away from her home in Middletown, and that's basically her reason for leaving us. So anyway, I need a motion to accept the resignation.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Sorry, Kelly. Now Kelly has to get someone off the list, if there is a list. She's not getting much cooperation from the county on getting a list. And so, not only she has to get that person, she has to train them. So, and not as if Kelly doesn't have enough to do right now with FEMA and,
Diva over there is gonna be helping me with the training.
hear that? Okay. Okay, on financial reports and resolutions, I'm not going to read all these numbers off. You have the agenda in front of you. I transferred $208,057 from the consolidated account to accounts payable. I also transferred $341,150 from the consolidated account to the account payable. Much of that went to TAM Enterprise for Canterbury Road and Mine Dock Road. Any questions from the board on this? It's already been done. I don't need your approval, but, yeah.
Done.
All right. Councilman DeWitt, do you have a report for us, or?
Pretty quiet at the highway department. Everything's copacetic, happy to say. The only couple good news things to report are, Olga, I know you're going to make sure I get all the information out there, but it's Toss It Away, No Way. The Citizens Environmental Advisory Committee and the Winter Market crew are having a repair cafe, and that's going down on October 21st from 10 to 2 at the American Legion Hall down on Old State Road. Just remember, to get there from Highland Falls, you got to go around the long way. Haven't heard any word on when State Road's getting repaired from the.
I think they're working daily.
They were
on it.
working on it, okay, I haven't driven down there recently. Anyway, how it works, anything that needs attention to repair, something electrical, a bicycle, they're gonna help with sewing things, mending, adorning, small jewelry repair, some technical things regarding photographs. Anyway, they set up stations and people and volunteers, and if anybody wants to volunteer to be part of the Repair Cafe, to offer your expertise, just give the committee a call. The information, I'm pretty sure, is going to be posted in the paper, on Channel 23, social media, et cetera, et cetera. Again, the Repair Cafe. It's a great service that they put together. And again, it's a chance for people that want to get a little minor repairs, that please come on in. And again, on October 21st from 10 to 2. Olga, anything else I should be adding?
There's
No.
no cost.
What's that?
There's no cost.
There's no, oh yes, that's the most important part, it's free. It's a community service and again, hosted by the Winter Market people and the Citizens Environmental Advisory Committee, and again, at the American Legion. On the other notes, I'm sure a lot of people have noticed still that the post office here in Highland Falls remains closed. And the rumor is that it's gonna remain closed. Even MJ talked to me earlier about the list of the post office, the U.S. Postal Service closing down post offices, I guess around the state or around the country, both. Anyway, so the Highlanders, the seniors of the Highlanders group, are organizing a march to save our post office. And that march is going to be on Wednesday, October 4th at 11 a.m. Just show up and show your support. And really all to say that as we try to reinvigorate our Main Street and our community, especially recovering from the flood, we are asking the federal government to not punish our community further by eliminating our post office. So again, Wednesday, October 4th, 11 a.m. Want to come out and raise your voice to try to save our post office. I think it's a good cause, and I hope the federal government, through all their cutbacks, don't eliminate our post office. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman King?
Yes. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. Just a couple notes here. First, another reminder that September 5th through October September 15th through October 15th is National Hispanic Heritage Month. And so here, we're going to, for the sake of highlighting the Hispanic heritage in the local area, mention a figure from our town of Highlands, who was born in 1893. Was Major General Luis Raul Estevez, who died in March 12, 1950. He was the first Puerto Rican and first American citizen of Hispanic heritage to graduate from the United States Military Academy at West Point. He was also the founder of the Puerto Rican National Guard. While at West Point, he tutored Dwight D. Eisenhower in Spanish as a second, because at that time a second language was required in order to graduate back in 1915. So Estevez, who was an incredible man who did a lot of things besides graduate West Point. He went on to serve at the highest levels. But it's interesting to note that two of his classmates, one of which I mentioned was Eisenhower, the second was Omar Bradley. And so that's our Hispanic heritage note. But I'm excited to report that this weekend I met with the National Hispanic Heritage Observance Committee for the town of Highlands. Chairperson is Miss Rosie Kilgore, one of our local residents who lives in Fort Montgomery, who's of Venezuelan descent. And she's married to one of our local community members here, Kilgore. You know who I'm talking about? I think his first name might be Jimmy. Yeah, that's right. And then the vice chair is a young lady named Miss Melanie, and I want to say her last name is C. It starts with a C. I know that, and it's yes. Thank you for bailing me out there. Shikati, Melanie Shikati, a young lady, is now the vice chair of that particular committee. And oh, by the way, she's not even of Spanish descent, but she's a volunteer in the community that wants to help. And the committee welcomes with open arms diverse members to come and just highlight and help them highlight the traditions of those who are of the Hispanic culture. So out of that meeting came a date, October 14th, which is the day before the last day of the observance for the national level. We're going to have a Town of Highlands observance right here in good old Town of Highlands. We're going to start like we did Juneteenth and march from Sacred Heart Church to Memorial Park. And then at Memorial Park, we'll have a observance. And then from there, we'll do we intend to do at the library later that afternoon, a exhibit, which is by a local photographer who happens to be the caretaker at Round Pond. But Michael Lopez, staff sergeant retired, I believe, from the United States Army, is from Puerto Rican descent and is a photographer that's going to come in and display some of his art from around the world. So, more to follow, but I just wanted to give you all a save the date. And then the last thing in conclusion, I also met this weekend with the director of the center, Ms. Ann Molina. And we talked about how inside the center they've been doing a yeoman's work there for the last 10 years, been doing a great job carrying this community with social service-like type services. But everybody's, even myself, getting up there in age. And so she's looking for younger people to be involved. And right now they've recruited 1 or 2 young people to help come in there and continue these processes. And wanted to also pass along to the seniors that got a plan for 2024 to have more invigorated programs, continuing the bus trips. And so just keep hope alive. We are not forsaking our seniors. We're going to do a lot of great stuff. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, can I jump in right before the great Mr. Sullivan finishes up for tonight?
Good move.
Okay. Addressing Mr. Blanc, I'm sorry I didn't address you sooner. We'll make sure those pictures are looked at. What I want you to understand is there are many pictures, and the crews, people, myself even, have contributed pictures, Mine Road and countless others. And I want you to know, like last week was the first sit down with FEMA, and again, we were talking about it earlier, to their credit, line by street, by damage, with pictures attached, things are not unnoticed. And I'm going to bet the telephone pole you're talking about is in there somewhere. I won't lie to say that I know every photo. And then our powers that be are meeting up with engineers to go over damage costs and what's happening there. And again, it's going to be about accountability to make sure the numbers that we're paying, because we got to shell out money first to get the damages fixed. Mine Road's on the agenda. Yeah, as you know, the road down to the river was a priority because of our sewer plant and of course the extensive damage. But then they're going, the engineer, John, who left earlier, or no, it's not John, but this week. But they're going through numbers to make sure the spending's in check and make sure there's not overspending. And again, accountability and making sure things are done right. And then there's another sit down with FEMA to go to the next step. And it's about planning and spending, and then keep our fingers crossed that money starts coming in before interest is due and bonds. And again, Kelly could say the words better than I can. But, money becomes due when you start spending $5 and $10 million, $20 million. So, but I'll make sure, your pictures will be looked at, added to if necessary. But the process is in line, sir.
If I might make sure for clarification, I was only talking about not what is my responsibility, but which is outside of my responsibility. I don't feel I have the engineering experience how to fix the telephone pole, how to keep the mine road from being undermined and deteriorating further, and how to ensure that that spot in the road is safe for drivers who pass by. I don't feel that's my responsibility, nor do I have the expertise in engineering to make all that done. So, and if TAM did come to my area to do the fix, I have no problem paying out of pocket for my driveway. But the photographs I have, the driveway is not included in that. This is strictly what's outside the scope, okay? But I appreciate your comment. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Mr. Bond. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Councilman Sullivan?
All right. These early meetings, I don't get a chance to prepare the way I normally would like to, so I got a little something. John, first thing, is this a finger drive?
Yes.
I will share this with everybody,
drive.
okay? John, I've presented at Rotary before, and my iPad kind of choked, and he's a geek. He saved me with his IT skills, so I'll return the favor by disseminating the pictures, so thank you very much. I know I'm gonna leave somebody out. Our last meeting afterwards, we went to the 9/11 ceremony down at the Patriot Garden in Port Montgomery. Supervisor Lindsay spoke. He spoke well. Ann Molina narrated it. Ty was there. Dean was there. Joe, if you were there, I didn't see. I didn't know if you
No,
were.
I was working in the city long hours. I couldn't make
The
it.
Highlands Fire Department, the Fort Montgomery Fire Department, the Ambulance Corps, there were cadets, the O'Neill ROTC, Vision. There's a woman there that sings for a chorus group. I don't know her name, and I forget what group she belongs to. It might be Grace Baptist Church. Maybe Nancy knows. She's a singer. Yes. What group is that, Nancy?
I don't think she's with the group.
Okay. Okay, well, she was there. It was a wonderful ceremony, and I'm not trying to be selfish, but when my father died, I couldn't find his discharge papers. So I had no military honors for him, but I did have the flag. And the Patriot Garden at this year's ceremony hung that flag on the flagpole. And after it was over with, there was a young junior ROTC gentleman who had the name Gentile that came over and thanked me for using the flag. So that was nice. And what I wanted to say about that is the flagpole malfunctioned. I think we should help Vision a little bit. It's 20 years old now, to do something about that flagpole. They did pretty good after 10 minutes of doing whatever they did to wrap it up, but it didn't work right, so something that's on my agenda. The Zoning Board of Appeals met here last Wednesday. The ever so popular Gary Locks in the back was there as an audience member. At that meeting, they had 4 public hearings. 16 South Street was approved. 30 Mine Dock Road was approved. 82 Center Street had a public hearing which is not ended. It was adjourned until next month. I hope I said that right. And 52 Row Avenue was looking for a variance, which was denied. So they did their thing. Very efficient, went well. There was a lot of work for them to do. So the public hearing will continue the third Wednesday of next month, whenever that is, here at 7 o'clock, as they always do. The planning board, Dean is not here. Dean goes to those. They didn't have anything on their agenda, did they?
No, just the board met informally to discuss the matters, no consultants.
Okay, all right, very good. So, on water, Bob spoke about the tank. That is one of the, whatever the COVID money thing is called, ARPA, I don't know what that's
American
called, you know.
Recovery Plan.
So that's been in the works, and that will hopefully be built 6 months from now. I'd like to be getting water out of the thing, to be honest with you, you know. In regard to water, for the month of August, I'm gonna start doing this, we averaged 60,400 gallons per day. Half a year ago, we were averaging almost 115,000 gallons a day.
We were worried about it.
Those leaks
Yeah.
being repaired,
Yeah.
and if I'm not mistaken, put Kelly on the spot, out of the radio reads that we are going to replace with cellular endpoints or whatever else is involved in that, we are in receipt of all of that stuff, aren't we?
We are,
So this is gonna be finished,
it is.
and it was hard to get parts, so we were actually surprised, because we were getting lots of 10,
Yes.
20. They're doing a good job. They're only working on it 1 or 2 days a week, but they're doing a great job, and it's moving forward. And you're almost smiling when they say the word water, all right?
Almost.
So that's good. With the sewer, the DMR, Jimmy does his part, I sign off on it. Until I sign off on it, I don't know what the numbers are. I haven't signed off yet. I'm gonna do that later tonight. So I know the flows are back around normal, but I don't know just what they are for the month of August. I'll have that at the next meeting. In the building department, I didn't have anything written down. What I was kind of hoping, I know the village board meetings, they speak a lot about the building department. I was sort of hoping they'd be here tonight because our engineer was here. He's the other half of the building department. He has a partner, John Russo. Now, the way that we're structured is all public, so I'm going to come out with it. Philip is awaiting some credentials from the county. He has his BSI, he has his CEO, he has fire inspection, all of those credentials. The supervisor isn't able to sign on the permits. When he signs them, they have to be reviewed by somebody with these credentials. John O'Rourke is doing plenty of those, as well as John Russo from that office, and as well as I have a guy named Andrew. You may not see them all around town. So I'm being told by the people involved that while they're busy, that we have a handle on it. And I keep on seeing these things saying there's an election, they need help down there. I'm not trying to be facetious. Anybody can approach me. I'm very approachable, including anybody from the village board who's the liaison to it, as Melanie does. They can contact me personally. None of them ever do. They go to their meetings and say that it's failing. And the failure of Highland Falls is not because of the building department, okay? If we get too strict with certain things, oh, trust me, I hear about that, especially some of these red tag houses, people are trying to get going, I hear about that too, and we have waived the fees, but what we haven't waived is if your house is standing on one pillar, you're gonna need an engineer to bring it back. That has not been waived, that's still a requirement, and I told him to be good to people, but he has to do his job, so I'm gonna stand by him, and I'm gonna stand by the building department, and there's been discussion about codes, about Code 170-7A, where it says right there that they can have a police officer enforce quality of life issues. They don't need Philip. They can do it with their police if your grass is too high or things like that. And the other one they're talking about is Chapter 128 about landlord registry. Landlord registry was brought into being in 2009. I could read the thing to you for the development of the health of Highland Falls, etc., and so on. We have had people come in and volunteer to register over the years. You're supposed to do it every year. This year there's one. You all know who it is, I won't say her name. And it's a volunteer thing on people, and there was discussion about who has to do it. If you have a single family home and it's rented out, it qualifies as being something that should be registered by the landlord registry. Now, I'm being told that half the houses or more are not owner occupied, meaning that out of the 1,000 homes in Highland Falls, because it's their law, not Fort Montgomery, it's their law, we should probably have 500 or 600 people walking in the door paying $10 to come register. Now, that would be a monumental thing. We would have to hire a private investigator, because we're all LLCs, and we're not gonna know who's in there. I'm not sure the original intent of the law, but we're trying, and if people wanna come in, we're ready for you. The law is on the books, and single-family homes being rented out are included in that requirement by my read, chapter 128 for anybody watching, in the village code. Last Wednesday, the Battle Site met, and it's a pleasure to belong to that organization. They have a lot of things coming up. And on Saturday, I had this couple called Carla and Keys, and they almost like kind of rap, and the subject was "This Man is a Spy." So I learned a lot about Benedict Arnold and Andre, I forget the guys, they hanged him. He was involved with Benedict Arnold, I can't remember his first name. And at the same time, up in the library, master storyteller Jonathan Kruk was up there. They had a little fundraiser up there for the library and all that. Saturday was a great day in this community. A lot of events going on. I just wanted to give everybody a nice little plug. And I was especially looking forward to going to the center on Saturday for their anniversary. But it was canceled because of rain that came today. Not Saturday, but it was canceled because of that. That's my report, and as with everybody, I'm approachable. You come to me and you'll get results. Thank you.
I had one thing, Supervisor. I just remembered as they were talking. You oftentimes pass the veteran stuff over to me, and I wanted to let you know that we continue to do outreach in terms of the town of the Highlands, representing and engaging our veterans within the community. And it just so happens that, yes, I was at that wonderful event with my colleague here, Councilman Sullivan, and right afterwards, I had the pleasure of meeting a veteran whose name is Emil.
Yes.
Is that your son?
Yes, my son.
So thank you and him for your service. I had already met this gentleman several years ago.
18 months in Iraq, and I gotta tell you, he's come a long way since coming back to civilian life.
Yeah.
And he misses the town of Highland. Please pass that on.
Well, he shared a little bit with me of his story, and certainly now we are joined at the hip. We intend to meet more frequently and see what we can do to continue to help his transition be what I call resilient. And so, but that was a great meeting that I had with him.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Bob, I took a little walk yesterday. There's all this talk about storm damage. You probably can't see it. Can you see this picture? Yeah. That's a 218 one. I don't know how that hat got on that pipe. They said it was marked. I'm not sure about that, but that is a picture I took. Just one example of the many places. I could take you down behind Silvestri's house. The outflow from Garrison's Pond, the railroad is down there doing a massive project where the tracks got washed out. It's just all over the place that it's continuing. Water runs downhill. It's not against the law.
They even built a road down there. I don't know if anybody noticed that. You know where you launched the kayaks?
Yeah.
And there was that road on the side?
Yep.
Blacktopped.
Yeah.
I wonder if they got permission from DEC to blacktop that close to the river. But anyway, yeah, they got a road and everything, boy, I tell you. Talking about things such as that, I drove past the town garage the other day, and once we got past there, my son mentions to me something about the cell towers up. I said, you know what, Murph, this is a good thing. I didn't notice it. We drove right by there. I did not notice the cell tower. Obviously, going back, I did see it because I was looking for it. I got a phone call in my office. Someone wanted to know, is it working yet? Is it online yet? And the answer is, for those who might wonder, it's not online yet. Not because of any one single person. It's because they haven't gotten all the parts in yet. And they really don't know when they're going to get the parts. So it'll be a while before it's online, but that's only because of a lack of building material or whatever it is they need for it.
Yeah, its visual presence isn't, I drove through Pellwood and near Fufu's property and Roe Park with the trees in place,
Yeah.
leaves, you can't see it.
No.
I look forward to see what its signature is gonna be
Yeah.
in the wintertime, but it's not, a.
Kelly, do you have anything?
No.
Chief, do you have anything?
Usually I do this the first meeting of the month, but I put it off till now. Our official stats for August. We had 9 motor vehicle accidents. We did 144 traffic stops, issued 71 traffic tickets, mostly down by the Popolopan Bridge. I think the best speed we had was 86 miles an hour. We responded to 543 calls for service. 270 of those were directed patrol assignments. Took 7 case reports and made 1 arrest.
Right, sir, did you forward have anything for Chief? Okay. All right. Next up, we have a resolution to approve the local law to override the tax cap limits. Justin, would you want to take that on?
I think you said most of it. It's fairly straightforward. The general municipal law authorizes you to override the tax cap. Again, initially you pass a local law, and then ultimately in your budgeting process, you'll make those decisions as needed. So this is simply a resolution to adopt the local law to override the tax levy limit established by general municipal law, section 3C.
I have a motion to move the resolution.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember DeWitt?
Aye.
Supervisor Lindsay?
Aye. And Justin, you're on again with the next resolution to authorize the settlement of the proceeding under Article 7 of the real property tax law.
Correct. Every year you have a few tax certiorari matters. This is one that, with the assessors' input and the attorneys negotiating, we were able to avoid appraisals, which saves the town and the school district some money, but a modest reduction from $630,000 to $590,000. It will result in tax refund liability for 1 year in the approximate amount of $300.
Ask for a motion to move the resolution to authorize the settlement.
Motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember DeWitt?
Aye.
Supervisor Lindsay?
Aye. That's it. Any other public comment that anyone wants? Yes, sir.
My name's Harvey Green. I live up on Fostoria Street. There was an article in the Mid-Hudson News. I don't know if anybody ever sees these things. But apparently, the governor signed a tax bill for Orange County communities. Tax bill being you can now put a tax on hotels, motels, bed and breakfasts, Airbnbs. It's quite an article. I was wondering why I pay taxes. I pay a lot of taxes. So does everybody else. Why don't we do something like this? It's Senator Skoufis and one of the assembly people actually did it. If anybody'd like a copy of the article, I have it.
I would like a copy of the article.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Mary Jane is like everywhere, and if you had this week's Cornwall Local, I believe that made the headlines. They're dealing with that very subject up there.
It was Middletown, Newburgh, and some
Well,
of the
here,
other.
back, I think it was when Tommy Murphy was supervisor, that was being pursued. I remember John Copol was still alive and was representing a few of them.
Right.
And I recall Don Segala from the Hotel Thayer came in to speak about it. You look over there, it says that's all part of the community.
Yeah.
he said the Hotel Thayer technically wasn't in the town of Highlands.
Yes, it is.
That whole thing kind of fell apart, and I don't think we ever did it after that, so,
But to me, if you can put down, get a 2% tax or 1% tax, whatever it is, there are, the last number I had was 3 million people coming through to see West Point and everything during the year. If 1% of those, 3,000 people, stay here, and you get 3% of $100, that's $3, that's another $900 coming in.
Yeah, we've looked at this before, but I
Yeah.
don't remember exactly why
Yeah,
we
So
didn't go.
Well,
so I
now-
didn't see the article, and I'm happy to look at it. It required special legislation. They used to do it town by town.
Hey, Bob.
Picture.
Thanks, Harvey. No, yeah, sure, I'm gonna just make sure.
Sir, I need one more copy.
Sure.
You have another one? Oh, thank you.
So you have applied in the past and had it rejected by the governor, right? The governor has to sign the law that allows
Oh,
for
yeah,
individual municipalities.
Right.
We haven't tried in a few years, and if this allows for all of Orange County municipalities, then you
It
can
does
jump
not.
on now.
It was specific.
Otherwise, you'll have to do special legislation and make the request.
It appears to be specific to certain communities.
But this governor seems more friendly for it.
Yeah.
And that would be wonderful.
Now, somebody
I
said,
encourage it, I'm just saying that's you know, you need your own.
somebody said to me, you don't know if you want to do that because the town and the village get money from the county, et cetera. And if people have to pay extra, they might go out of town. They're not going out of town. They're not spending the gas money to go up to New Windsor or Newburgh. They'll stay here.
Right.
I have one other thing. It's sort of a personal thing. I got a phone call the other day, and it shook me for a minute. And then what I did for a living kicked in before I retired. Daddy, Daddy, sobbing. Traffic accident. Okay? So I said, who are you? Give me your name. I have 3 daughters. She didn't. I'm going to give you to the police officer. Guy gets on, and he goes through his little spiel. I said, what department are you with? And he actually used my name as far as I remember. Highlands, Orange County. And my answer was, not my daughter. My daughter's in college in Pennsylvania. The other one's in Texas, and the other one's up in, near Saratoga Springs. This stuff is going around again. It's an old scam. Chief, if you want to see that's I'll give you one too, Mary. That was the actual conversation, because I wrote it almost verbatim after I did it. The answer is, it's going around again. Luckily enough, with what I did for a living, I don't jump and I ask questions. If somebody who didn't know, they're going to jump. And what these guys are looking for is, give me your credit card number. Give me, I think we should put something out, either put a text message out, we've done that, put it on Channel 23. Mary Jane could put something, a public service announcement in the paper. But I think people, I mean, I only look old, but I'm close to 80 years old. And I have kids in college, but I also have 3 grandsons. It could have been any one of them.
Sure.
And I think anybody would jump if they didn't happen to know my daughter's in college in Pennsylvania. But she was on a road trip to Western Pennsylvania to study the migration habit of the elves, the elks. But I think something needs to be addressed, and couldn't hurt. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Harvey.
I'll ask for a motion to move into the budget session.
motion.
Second.
Okay. Thank you all.